Now, I asked you prior to this show.
Yep.
I said, Mason, can you talk about Apocalypse and tell the listeners about Apocalypse?
Uh-huh.
And you said, yeah.
I did say that. I was very enthusiastic in that way. Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Now, Apocalypse, of course, he's they say he's the oldest mutant, but he's not the oldest mutant, is he? There's another one called Selene, I think, is older. Is that right?
Okay, sure, yeah.
I might
but
be
she's
wrong.
not very impressive. So.
No, well, that's right, exactly. She's not. Apocalypse, who's got a much better name as well.
Yeah, totally. Selene. And also, I don't really know anything about Selene.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's your topic for next week.
Oh, good. All about Selene. Well, like many mutants, he's just a mutant.
Yeah.
Like he's born with it.
Okay.
I mean, you think maybe it's Maybelline, but he's just born with it. Okay. But he's sort of it's one of those things they're going to have to kind of cut out a lot of the actual continuity because a lot of it relates to like the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
And kind of the Celestials and stuff like that. Like he was born under the rule of Rama Tut, who is he is like a descendant of Reed Richards from the 30th century.
Really?
Who developed time travel technology. And he's like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to ancient Egypt and rule the world. And so he did that. And I'm going to wear a loincloth and a big headdress.
Because that's better?
Yeah, because that's better. Future? Yeah, better than the future, yeah.
Not true.
Not at all, no. Ridiculous. Do you want to see a picture of Ramatut?
Absolutely, I do.
There he is.
Oh, wow.
Nice headdress, right?
What's his power, aside from looking like a real dumb prick?
That's it. You've nailed it. But he's, like, Reed Richards has, like, a million parallel universe descendants. Like Kang the Conqueror. Yeah. Also a version of this guy.
Oh, really?
A lot of time travel, a lot of nonsense. Okay. But anyway,
so he was born under the reign of this guy.
And eventually he developed his mutant powers, which are essentially everything, like whatever he wants. And then he sort of overthrew this guy and acquired some of his technology. And so he's cyborg. He's a mutant and he's a cyborg. Yeah. And then eventually he finds a crashed celestial ship, and they're like the sort of super technological demigods in the Marvel universe. Yeah. And so he acquires some of their technology. So so a lot of that's got to go, I think.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Essentially, Apocalypse's powers are, for whatever reason, despite the fact that he's the first mutant, and so his powers really should
Selene's
be like...
the first mutant, Mason.
Sorry. Shut up. Anyway, despite the fact that he's the second mutant, and his powers should be largely, like, unimpressive. Yeah. Like, it should be just like...
He can...
Like he's got an extra joint in his thumb knuckle or something like that. Sure. Because that would the first mutant. Why would it be the...
Well, it's like the first vampire from Blade.
Right.
You know, where he could do everything or whatever.
Well, Apocalypse is basically complete molecular control over himself. So he can change size and shape and transform and make himself look like different people. Or he can, shoot energy blasts or, turn invisible or teleport or fly or heaps of other stuff.
Okay. Was he a hero in the past? Did he overthrow this Reed Richards' dad or whatever?
I probably only to serve his own ends. I think he just wanted to rule. Okay. And so he could do that. But he can also like fly by like turning his like legs into jets or whatever. Like he's kind of...
That sounds like something from the 90s.
Yeah, exactly, doesn't it? Like he can do that, or he can turn his arm into a helicopter, or whatever. Yeah. But see, part of that is, and he's got like telekinesis and telepathy and whatever. A lot of that is... Some of that is probably like the technology part. Okay, yeah. So we might have to get rid of a lot of that. Yeah. What
I feel is interesting about this guy, you give all those powers, which is basically every power, to a hero, and nobody cares. Right. Like that hero's... And his exploits fall on deaf ears because you can't relate to him. Right. You give it to a villain, and all of a sudden he's not infinitely more interesting, but he is more interesting because you have to find a way to stop that character.
Right, exactly, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So from that perspective, I think that's going to be good. So I'm assuming, though, because of the events of Days of Future Past, something's altered in the timeline, and they've awakened Apocalypse.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Is that how that works?
I would say that his powers are so vast that he exhausts himself or something like that. Okay. And then he has to go into hibernation. Yeah. For X thousands of years or what have you.
X-Men thousands of years.
Thank you, good. And whatever they've done, maybe not even timeline related, but maybe it's just his time to to return from his slumber.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What about these four horsemen?
Right. Okay. And I think we talked about it briefly with Days of Future Past.
Yes.
Apparently, and I missed it.
Yeah.
You can see the horsemen.
You can.
Do you have a picture?
I actually do.
Ooh.
So there's girl Michael Sarah.
Great.
And there's the horseman.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, that's quite vague. I thought, okay, yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he acquires 4 individuals to do his bidding, and he can sort... In the
mutants normally. Right?
Normally mutants, and he uses his powers and his technology to give them additional, powers. There's usually a lot of metal involved.
Okay.
And what it'd be if you're fast, it'd make you super fast, but also you can throw knives. That's probably what you got. Like in the comic books, Angel loses his wings. They get amputated by these guys, the Marauders, and Apocalypse gives him these metal wings,
and where it becomes
which can shoot lasers, as we've mentioned. Yeah, and he becomes Archangel, and he becomes...
Oh, that's how he becomes Archangel. So that's Archangel's origins.
Yeah,
I didn't know
and he
that.
becomes...
Okay.
I think he's Death at some point?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, and so... And Wolverine becomes Death later on.
Yeah. Now, that's through brainwashing as well, I assume.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Or he's like, come on, how super fun would this be?
You just tell everybody I brainwashed you.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. But I'm guessing that... Maybe the X-Men take out... He's got a few... Maybe he needs to acquire some more Horsemen.
Yeah.
Or he has his existing ones and they're old and weak and the X-Men destroy a couple.
Sure.
And then he needs a couple more, so he acquires Wolverine.
Yeah.
And he gives him the adamantium back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, that would work.
Yeah, totally.
Now, Simon Kinberg, the producer on this film, he said that the Apocalypse film, which will be due out May 27th, 2016, said that he's going to be like the darkest leader we've seen in the X-Men universe. So you've got your Professor X and Xavier, who are both... Well,
Professor X and Magneto.
Sorry, yeah. Professor X and Magneto.
It's been a long night.
It's your
Been here
hands.
for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh.
One's a really good guy.
Yep.
One accidentally killed the president.
Sure.
But they're not completely evil.
Yep.
But the Apocalypse turns up going, well, look, you've seen what those guys offer you. I can offer you much, much more. So that's apparently where the whole conflict is going to stem from.
Right,
so
interesting.
That's, something. Also, he likened it to a Roland Emmerich film in the sense there's going to be mass destruction. What I like about the X-Men films are they don't do mass destruction.
Right.
Like, they don't need a bit at the end where they smash down a city. Like, they lift a big stadium. That's pretty good.
Do what you want. Lift a big stadium. Yeah.
So that's what we've got to look forward to with the younger cast, which begs the question.
Yep.
We've seen the future now, right? With Jean Grey alive and Scott Summers and whatever. Yeah. That means Apocalypse showed up and it wasn't a problem and everybody lived.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Mason, I have to confess something.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to make a video about Apocalypse, but I didn't want to research it, so I just thought, I'll just do this and put this into a video.
You son of a bitch. You're good, though. I tell you what.